want to start off with something.
Okay.
You see, there's a little bit of shade thrown last time when I was like, the random color generator doesn't work, and you were like, who wrote that? It was Yazeed. Actually, one Joseph Garcia refactored that on without rerunning the test.
Did I break it though?
You did. You certainly did.
Well, that's still your fault because you reviewed the fix. So this is always somehow going to be your fault.
That is one of my updates. So I have the fix for it. So I'll push a fix up in a PR for it. My other update is adding the filter to it kind of like rolling back to like what I'm talking about. Square was running into a problem. So many nodes were being generated and like trying to do something that basically like it would just chug. Like it was just too much happening in too much trying to happen in too short a time period. And it was just starting to like really chug. I was gonna say drag its feet, but I was like chug is fine. And so last episode we were talking about like ways to kind of cut down on the number of things that need to happen. And right now, like basically like every tick, I'm gonna use the tick kind of like loosely, not like the home games tick, but like the actual like Node.js like rendering cycle, or like cycle through. But almost like every one of those had too many operations, and it also was like trying to like go through all of the nodes and the whole thing looking for collisions. So we talked last time about it's like heuristic tests to like basically like kind of cut down the number of nodes that need to be looped over, and so adding a filter certainly helped. Adding another layer, not a layer necessarily, but like a hitbox child, and then we just search through the hitbox children to find out who's there, like who has a collision with the hitboxes. That was actually like a much better solution. I do think it is still a little bit slow, but I think it's certainly faster than what it was before. Like you can get to like level 4 or 5 now, whereas before on level 2 it wouldn't. So we're making progress on our way to level 9. You know what I mean?
Nice. Yeah, I'm sure I think about it a lot, but there are probably a lot of ways to structure your game so that it runs better with the rendering system that we have built.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that I keep in mind a lot, but I'm sure there is a best way to structure your tree if you are building a game like this, where this kind of thing updates frequently or whatever. Mm-hmm. That's kind of a problem that I ran into with Sponge or Pong or whatever, with the bad performance, and just like, well, this is just a ball moving across the screen, and in most of these updates, the only thing changing is the position of the ball, but I'm actually re-rendering every single part of the screen every single time, and we talked about that before, like selective subtree rendering or whatever fancy shit we called it to make ourselves feel smart, but that's basically what it is. It's just being smart about what we update and what is actually updated on the screen when something in the game updates and stuff like that, which is something I've been thinking about this week, because I've been working on public games, which highlighted how fucking slow Pong is. So, yeah, I've been thinking about performance and that kind of stuff, too. So maybe at some point we'll think about the best way to structure your tree.
Yeah,
I think a guide.
I think like having best practices and stuff like that in a doc or something would probably be nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally fine with like if I put out the PR for it right now and we looked over and we decide like, oh, maybe we would try a bunch of stuff and just find something that actually like gets us to level 9 in a way that's reasonable, doesn't have like a bunch of chug to it.
Yeah,
and that might be not a bad idea. I think last time we were talking, I think you mentioned that Square might be like the heaviest node creator that we have that's actually like a game right now, which I think by level 9 we're spawning something like almost 100 nodes or something like that. Maybe like close to 200 now from the double of the hitboxes. So
yeah, and the most expensive part of all of rendering and game logic and stuff in home games is the amount of nodes, it seems, because at the end of the day, the entire game state is sent over a network, and the bigger that is, the slower it is, generally speaking. That seems to be the bottleneck. And so if you have more nodes, you have more stuff in that data, and we're sending it back and forth so frequently, just keeping that as small as possible is the best thing. So yeah, there's probably ways of maybe like representing multiple things as different nodes, but they're actually underneath. They're just one or whatever. The kind of optimizations that we can maybe make in the future. Because yeah, I guess, do you want me to go into like the performance stuff of like the public server games, or did you have more stuff to talk about for?
No, that's basically all I had to talk about. Mostly I wanted to redirect the shade back to you.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you. But so yeah, I think we talked about this previously about my theory with Sponge. Now that we have this server that I've deployed where you can have publicly available games and you can join public games with server code, just like Jackbox. Now that we have this, my original theory was that, well, if you think about the way that this is working, you have your server running the game and it's sending every single update of the game to this other server somewhere, and then that other server has an in-memory reference to a bunch of other clients, and every time it gets a message, it says, okay, I got a message, confirmed I got that message, now you receive it, you receive it, you receive it. And it's doing this in a sequence. And because of the nature of TCP, because there's two servers here, the actual game server doesn't care if the end client has received the message, because it's through this proxy server. The game server only knows if the proxy server got the message. So the TCP-Ness, if you will, comes into play here, because what happened basically in the performance test that I was looking at is that the game server to a local client on the same network would be sending out a new block, and the client would get that block, right? The game server is saying, okay, you, real client, get the message, you, proxy server, get the message, and then that goes out to all the other stuff, and then potentially other local clients as well. And so if for the remote client listening over here from or through this extra hop, it was significantly behind the game state, like because the proxy is receiving messages quickly and signing off on receiving them to the game server. The game server then continues doing whatever it's doing and updating again, but the proxy server isn't sending out all those other messages to the other clients fast enough, because by the time it gets to the next message in the queue, that message is like 8-9 updates old. And so it gets stuck behind in this queue. It gets slower and slower because it's further and whatever. So yeah, it's just like a hurdle or whatever to get over. It's something to keep in mind, that if the majority of people interacting with the server do it in the most suboptimal way, like you got to think about if I say, well, okay, the best way to play this is on the same Wi-Fi network. The best way to play this is with a native Android client that we publish ourselves, we don't have on the Google store, or like our own iOS client. Like, you can make the best experience available, but if it's not the easiest way to get to it, like that's not the way to do it. The way to do it is going to be people going to homegames.link, putting in a code. That is the majority of people interacting with this thing. It'll be slow and shitty for most people. Yeah. And so trying to think about the way that we can make that as good as possible, like I said, with the selective subtree rendering, or potential network improvements that I can make, or maybe the old WebRTC stuff I was looking into is the ultimate goal, or something like that. But basically, yeah, public games and a lot of nodes don't do well together. And so if you were playing Square, or if I was playing Sponge over a public game, it would likely be dog shit. And I think, like, we talk about this kind of often, but I think the use case for this is not fast games. We make the fast games to test that we can, to see what fucks up. But I don't think someone will look at this system and think, I'm going to push this and make a fast-paced action, whatever. I just don't see that happening, at least with the current state of things. So I don't know. With the system, we could make a Jackbox. Like, I'm not concerned about making a Jackbox and make a board game clone. Like, literally go down the board game aisle at Target and you can replicate every single one of those fucking games in home games. But if it's like, oh, Geometry Wars 3, it's like, okay, well, we're not making that. So, yeah, that's just kind of like something I've been thinking about. But The stuff I was working on is deployed, so like we have a public server. It's not generally like available and accessible in the main code base, but the feature is done, and like I said, just working on trying to make it better, which at this point is all I'm trying to do for anything, is just try to make it better.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think that makes sense. I do also agree. I think we've talked about it, like you said, we talked about it in the past before, where it's like people probably are just gonna use this like a party game thing. So most party games, we're not sitting down and like really gaming. Like if we're gonna do that, probably make it a LAN party. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think more casual, really. So yeah, games that have time limits where you can write silly things or do silly things. I think that's like probably the optimal goal here. I think Square is probably like pushing it a little bit, to be honest, because like it would be, if it's brutal on my computer that's also running this server, I cannot imagine how sad it would be to wait for hops and like actual like out of network requests and stuff like that.
One thing I think we can do is, as a part of like our testing pipeline for Home Dome, is it's already running, I think, on the cheapest EC2 instance that you can get, like 1 CPU, 1 gig or 2 gigs of memory. And so if we can kind of say, you know, does this thing run a happy path in a reasonable time? Do the updates come out fast enough? Like that kind of thing. That might be helpful. I was thinking maybe we can look at something like the tick rate. If we kind of standardize and make sure and like kind of solidify the tick rate thing, and we use that built-in tick update for home games, and we say, okay, well, if your game needs to be, you know, more than 20 updates in a second, we can programmatically look at that, and then when you click on the game in the home games dashboard, it's like works best over local network, and people can kind of acknowledge, like, okay, this is a suboptimal way to play it, but I'm just dealing with it or whatever. But when I'm really going for like hardcore home game gaming, you know, when we start up our fucking esports league,
yeah,
then that stuff will happen over a Wi-Fi network, which is cool. The other thing too, in the case of a public game, someone outside of this house playing a game with us, in the experiences I've had with Jackbox like that, someone is typically texting that person. It's not like you're calling them, it's not like you're FaceTiming them, and it's because you're playing something that's so passive. You don't need them to be like engaged. You don't need fucking video chat with the person that you're talking or you're playing with in this public game. So it's kind of just designing around the actual reality of what people are going to be doing, not what we think or whatever. Not all things.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's that. I'm working on, what am I working on next? I wanted to do controller stuff as my like Christmas project, so I might do that still. And then, yeah, just going through and making stuff like solid. We can go through together and look at the performance stuff for Square and talk about performance stuff in general. I have a plan for what I'm doing for the network stuff, like how I was talking about with the proxy basically sending out stale messages. Mm-hmm. Basically separating the two kind of cycles, the cycle of me receiving messages from the game server that I need to send out and me actually sending out messages. So, like, basically just keeping a in-memory reference to the most recent message that I've received, and then on every cycle blow that one out. I'm not trying to blow out every message I get. If I'm still sending out updates and I get a message from the game server, I clear out whatever I had, replace that, and that's my new thing. I don't care about any old data.
Oh, like a priority queue basically, or what is it, first in first out queue?
But not everything is guaranteed to be received. Like, I'm in the case of old messages, you get drop frames on the client. So like the performance test, for those unfamiliar, is just a blank screen that fills up with nodes from left to right in like a grid, and it gets slower and slower as it fills up because there are more nodes on the screen, which is what Yazeed and I were talking about with Square. And so on a local client, you'll get them sequentially. Every single update directly follows the one before it. But when you do the public client, with this new change I'm going to make, you'll get the ability to have like block, it's stuck. The actual game is updating and running, but you're just like out of sync, shitty network, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you get the most recent frame because you don't care about old frames.
Yeah.
So anyway, that'll be my thing. Hopefully that works well, and hopefully it is at least a visual, like a feelable improvement on the sponge stuff I was testing.
Nice.
But the little things I've been thinking of are like visual, and I've started maybe 3 or 4 different Coursera classes on like design and graphics and consistent design language and themes and color schemes and shit. But that's never really been my thing. But it's something where I look at every piece of home games and it has that look like a backend developer made it. Like it looks like shit. It's like it's like not consistent styles. It's a way of thinking about software that I don't often think about because I'm not generally like a front end person or a website person. But looking at the thing, I'm like, okay, I see the vision. This is like my ugly baby, right? And I just want it so badly to look better. So it's like, okay, I need to look into different fonts and like ability to have proper kerning or whatever, like spacing between characters, because when I put the code in the bezel of the game and like render the join the server at this code, the code looks off. It doesn't look the way that you want a code to look, but it's because I'm putting Times New Roman into a canvas, like just bare minimum text. Mm-hmm. So little things like that, which I just want to get better at, like generally speaking. And like I talked about it in the last episode or the one before, but it's like so unbelievably close to something that I can use and like really give it a good shot. And I just want to make a good impression. So I want to make sure that stuff looks correct, that it runs correct, and that the bugs that we have are fixed for the most part, and that when you get a bug in real life, we have like a good system to fix it and whatever. So it's really just like tying up loose ends for the next 6-7 months that I'm looking forward to. My life is like, I don't know, it just feels like I've been very busy over the past month, so I have a hard time like thinking more than a week in advance. Like, I don't think about the fact that it's almost the end of the year, or that like next month is January, or
oh my gosh,
fucking anything, right? Like all I can see is the week ahead of me, maybe. But I am excited for the future of this stuff. I am excited. I hope it's cool.
Yeah. I think it will be.
Yeah. At some point, I want to move off of AWS. It's like a separate thing, but I think a big part of this is that if I die, I don't want it to be like, well, we don't know how this worked. We don't know how it was deployed. There's like centralized systems that this stuff depends on that we don't know how to use. We don't have the access to those servers, and there's kind of secrets that aren't available or apparent. And so I want to make it so you can like deploy home games to something in a easy, straightforward way. But
it's like Terraform?
See, that's like a new thing that I'm generally familiar with, where it's like templating, right, for your infrastructure and stuff. But then
the infrastructure is code.
Yeah, and I've used like an AWS specific version of that type of called CloudFormation before. I think all that stuff is nice, but I think all of it is a fancy bunch of bullshit on top of servers.
Yeah.
Just is Linux, It's a Linux machine with HTTP and some shit. Like, fuck everything else, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's all it really needs to be. And it would be nice to have a simple out-of-the-box way to like deploy that to infrastructure. Even if you're saying, okay, well, I want to run all this on a single machine and expose all these services on different ports, and it's all talking to itself, which I understand is like infrastructure as code type of stuff.
Yeah.
Or if it's like I have actual different systems, different regions, and you can like deploy different services like that, but just being agnostic, like about what you're deploying to, which I think is Terraform. Like, I basically just pitched Terraform. So,
Joseph describes Terraform the episode.
Yeah, so maybe I'll look into that. But yeah, it's about building trust and whatever. Another thing too is like my Amazon account is the thing that's tied to our infrastructure. And one time I got mad at a customer service person on Amazon because they didn't give me a fucking code for, anyway, it was a whole thing.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was mad. And then I realized, like, I want to delete this account. Like, I want to be a better person and delete this account. But all my infrastructure for home games is tied to my personal Amazon shopping account. Like, this is all one thing.
Yeah.
And Amazon can delete it at any time, which, again, I know I'm not like a crazy person. I just hate that in theory that if I were, they could do that. You know what I mean? I don't like that.
Hold on, let's backtrack. You just claim to not be a crazy person. I'd like to put on the record that you could possibly be a crazy person.
I'm a crazy person in a, like, realistic way.
You're a crazy person in a generally follows the laws kind of way.
Yeah, I'm like a fine, okay person maybe sometimes, but like
most of the time.
Yeah. I don't know. I just don't like that they have that power.
Yeah.
The same thing as like, oh, we host it on GitHub. What if Microsoft hates me? Like, and I understand in theory I sound like a crazy person. It's like, what about the corporations, man? But like, to be honest, like, what about the corporations, man?
Yeah, no, I'm here with you, dog. I'm here, dude. I'm here for it. I'm a believer as well.
Yeah. So I would just like to remove us from that as much as possible, which will be a future thing. It's like I've said before about, I know I need to prioritize what needs to be done. What needs to be done is not completely restructuring our infrastructure and core services. That's not what I need to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that if you do have it set up in Terraform, it does make our lives easier.
Yeah. Where
we could deploy anywhere at any time, and if we got moved, if we for whatever reason, like, we're like AWS is just like way more expensive than like I don't know. Azure.
That's another thing. They can like, raise their prices tomorrow.
Yeah, it's like just switch to another one, because that's the thing is like. It kind of sucks that it definitely sucks because you just basically eat the whole cost of home games all the time. So it's like if it was on Terraform, we could at least move to other, or in Terraform format. Like we could at least move to whatever's cheapest. That's going to get us what we want. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The way I see it is on the day where we post a link and we get a lot of people trying it out, I want to be able to scale up infrastructure as fast as possible, so we don't have like, you know, you get like the hug of death or whatever people talk about. I don't want our shit to go down, and so maybe it's like, okay, we gauge demand and we see what people are looking at the site, and you know, kind of what that looks like and how we can make it not require so many resources if possible, and yeah, then just like basically scaling down as we need to. It's like, okay, well maybe we can run this all on a, you know, like this Windows machine that I'm planning on removing Windows from, or at least like moving off of at some point. Maybe this can become a server, and it's like more of a toy for me. Which again, it's like this is either going to be a public good or a toy for me. That's like the two fates for home games.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's just the way I think of it, and I'm looking forward to stuff. And I think I was gonna say something and then I forgot it. So, is what it is, you know.
Infrastructure is code.
Infrastructure is code. Fuck, I was going to say something. Anyway, I don't know. Video games, we're going to make them. I would like to make a rhythm game. It's my favorite type of game. I've never made one. Want to make one.
We did just say very fast-paced games. Probably not the move for home games.
It's my thing. It's my thing of I want to know the worst parts of it.
Yeah.
You know? And there's some worst parts of it, you know? There's some I'm in it. The audio stuff is some ass. Yeah, latency stuff is some ass. So, anyway, that's all I had for home games until the next episode, which will be like a retrospective, I guess, looking at the year. Yeah, unless you wanted to look back at that now.
Nah, I think we do it next time, and then we also do like a retrospective / planning, kind of look forward for the next year.
Yes. The best type of podcast is product management.
The product manager podcast.
Yeah.
We'll make some GitHub issues live on air. We're pretty good.
All right.
What else was on our docket? I know the Spotify stuff, but was there anything else?
It was the Spotify stuff, and that's pretty much it. And the home games updates that we had.
Okay.
Which we've already talked about.
All right. So, for everyone listening at home, Joseph and I used to do Song of the Week. That got dropped for, instead, a guarantee that when Spotify does its wrap, which I know we're basically shilling for Spotify doing this, but you know what? I like it, and hopefully Joseph likes it, so you're going to have to suffer through it too.
I do.
Basically, like, we go through each other's Spotify wrap, grab the top 5 songs, listen to them together, talk about them, see what's happening in each other's musical taste world.
Yeah, it's like a check-in on each other's musical stuff. It used to be, we'll play a song that we've been listening to lately and we'll play it for the other person. Generally speaking, our tastes are so different, so it was a way for us to have a just before the podcast we were talking about how people ask what do you do in conversation because they want a way to relate to you, and we don't like how in software it's typically unrelatable to people. So for me, song of the week was like an answer to that. I acknowledge that, like, your sister, for example, doesn't want to hear us talking about specifics of JavaScript, but maybe she can listen to our musical taste. It's like the entry point to us.
That was her favorite part of the podcast.
I believe it. It's the only interesting
No, that's not true.
But yeah, so we have our Spotify Wrapped. I am disappointed in myself for my Spotify Wrapped for a few reasons, but we can talk about that later. Do you want to just start with your number 5 song and we can like talk about it together?
Yeah. I'm grabbing it. So my number 5 song was Santi by Strome. If people listen to hip hop.
I thought it was Santé. It's like a little accent over the E.
I think it's Santi in French.
Oh, okay.
It's it means like health. You do it when you're like cheers, like salute. In Spanish, like it's like the equivalent of that. It's like if you've never heard that song, I recommend at least listen to it once. It's a very interesting song. It's a French song, but done in the style of like, I think it's called like cumbia. It's like a Colombian Latin like traditional dance thing, and there's also like a weird guitar where every string in a standard guitar has 2 strings, so it, like every time they play the guitar it's like ba-bum ba-bum ba-bum, and so the whole song has just like this really weird rhythm to it. I don't know, I really like it. The song is easily probably my obviously I didn't listen to it the most this year, but I think this was probably like my favorite song for the year, or at least the most interesting one.
Yeah, it was fun. I like the vocals. From the other stuff in your list and the stuff that you listen to in general is more of like trancey, like repetitive, spacious, like zone out music. Yeah. Whereas this one was like demanding of your attention. Yeah. Like the voices came in sharp and like sounded very crazy, which was fun. One thing I mentioned to you while it was playing is like the instruments, like the drums or something was hitting with like such a slight delay that it made the whole song like whoosh. It felt like when they hit warp speed or whatever in Star Wars, and it like there's like it's like the beat did that where it would like hit but then kind of keep pushing in like a stronger way. It was like a really weird sound that I liked a lot. It was like it was like a soundscape or whatever people say, like it was like depth to it. It was cool.
It's hard. I think if you haven't heard the song, you should listen to it because it just has like a really weird quality to it that I haven't heard another song really. Like, it just is its own thing. I don't know. I love that song. It's great.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite one from your whole list, by the way.
That makes sense. It's my favorite one probably from my list too. I just happen to listen to other songs more probably.
Yeah. Are we doing my 5 then, or your 5 then my 5, or are we doing
we'll
like
do my 5, your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So my 5 was Glock in My Purse by Lil Uzi Vert.
Yeah.
The song, for those unaware, is about he's got a Glock in his purse. He's got a purse. He might be a little self-conscious about the purse status.
Yeah.
Is it a purse? Is it a bag?
He's a little unsure.
Yeah, but he's got a Glock in there, possibly lean and penicillin.
What's the penicillin for?
See, I think it's like, okay, what you asked before when you heard that song was, is he supposed to be serious?
Yeah.
Or is this just for fun?
Yeah.
And with Lil Uzi Vert and with Young Thug and a lot of these kind of modern rappers, the appeal, or part of the appeal, is that they are serious, but they're funny. It like humanizes the violence in a way where if it's like, hey, blah, 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 I'm mean, I'm bad, I'll kill your family. It's like, damn, that's a crazy...
DMX.
That's a crazy energy to the point where you feel like it's maybe manufactured because it's so extreme.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, are you like a serial killer rapping about it? Like that's insane. Whereas a Lil Uzi Vert is like, haha, it's a purse, haha, I'll kill you. And you're like, haha.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess that's true. It's an interesting dichotomy. I don't know. That song has just so many weird lyrics to it. It's just like, it's a weird twisty roller coaster. I don't even know if I liked it so much. I thought it was funny. Like,
Yeah, it's a catchy song. It's just funny, and I've played it a few times in the car for Synovia, just like for the humor of it, because he's very self-aware on the song. It's like, like I said, making fun of the fact that it's not a purse, but it is a purse, and if it had one strap, you would call it a back, or if it had two straps, you'd call it a backpack. But it's got one strap and it's holding the mags.
Yeah. His girl's so thick you can walk on that booty or whatever. Like,
the girl's so thick you could walk on her ass.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was pretty good, honestly.
Yeah, it's just a fun song. It's my number 5. I mean, I didn't mean for it to be like that. I didn't know it would be my number 5. It's a fun song.
Yeah. Yeah, this year I actually wouldn't. I think Santi would have probably been the one that I thought would be my number 1 this year.
Really?
So to have that as my number 5, I'm also kind of surprised by it.
Yeah. Do you like, I think at the end of October or something like that, Spotify will send you a message and they're like, hey, Wrapped is coming. Kind of like implying that you should get your stats right. Like, get your stats to where you want them to be.
Oh.
Do you listen like that, or do you just let it happen?
I just let it happen, but also I read it as like, we want you to go listen to your old rap. And I was like, you need my old butt. I'm not going to go back and listen to my old rap right now. Like, I've got other stuff to do.
Your old rap? What do you mean?
Old rap. Like, I thought they were saying like, your new one's going to come out. Do you want to see your old one? And I was like, not particularly. Like, I could, but.
I read it as, if in your head you're the biggest Michael Jackson fan, go play Michael Jackson before rap, because you want that screenshot to share to your friends that you're in the top 0.01%.
Oh. But
that's because I'm a very like, Xbox 360 achievements have made my personality what it is. So I don't know if it's because I think like that or because that's what they're actually doing.
I don't know how other people think. At least for me, it didn't even occur to me that I could pad my stats at all. Yeah. I just continued listening like I was normally listening.
That's the best way to do it. I do that. I try to do that too.
Yeah.
But even subconsciously, it's like, well, I would have skipped this on the playlist, but I have made Kid Cudi and my Kid Cudi fandom such a pivotal part of who I am. And like my coworkers who don't know me very much, it's like, oh, Kid Cudi, yeah. It's like that has to be my personality. So he has to be number 1.
Yeah.
And if not, am I lying to you? Do you not know the real me by me not having Kid Cudi? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a weird thing that I probably overthink.
So that makes sense. I think it's weird because normally like around the time that Wrapped comes out, either I'm like kind of over the top 5 songs, or it's like there's another song that's like coming up that I'm actually spamming on repeats. Then it's like, oh, Wrapped's on. Like I go try to listen to these ones. And it's like, oh well, I've learned this song like 50 times already. You know what I mean? And it's actually like one of my favorite German artists finally is on Spotify, and 2 of his songs I'm really excited for, so I've just been listening to those 2 on repeat. So to go from like not at all German like songs to now just listening to like 2 German songs on repeat, it is kind of like jarring. So
it probably fucks with your Spotify algorithm too. It like doesn't know what to recommend you.
It never does. It recommends the same like 7 songs to me every week, but it has a different remix of the 7 songs.
Yeah, that's the thing about mine too, is that in the Discover playlists, or in the, how at the bottom of a playlist on Spotify, it'll be like, here's recommended songs to add to this playlist. It'll recommend songs that are on it, but it's like from the non-deluxe version of the album, so it's just stupid.
Yeah, they gotta work on that a little bit. I accidentally hit the enhance button on my 2,000 songs playlist. I was like, it's like the same song as in your 8 times. I unenhanced the playlist. It was,
nice.
It was not great. Yeah, you can undo that. It's not permanent.
Yeah. But yeah, man, I don't know. I just think I've been thinking about it. Like, as a side note, we can go to the next song after. Yeah. But my top 5 artists have been the same for the past 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
At least 4 years. My top 5 in order, just to make sure it's correct here. My number 1, as always, is Young Thug. My number 2 was Future. My number 3 was Kanye West. My number 4 was Kid Cudi. My number 5 was Lil Uzi Vert. The past 4 years, it has been the same 5 people in different orders. And if you look at the list again, it's been a rough fucking year for being a fan of all these people. Young Thug is in jail, possibly going to prison for like decades.
Yeah.
Don't know, and I'm talking purely about music, right? Obviously, like, I can't have opinions about these people and their situations, but I'm talking purely about the music. So if Young Thug is in that situation, he probably won't be making more music anytime soon. And if we do get stuff, it'll be old stuff. So that's one thing. Future, he's great. He's in his late 30s. He's like reaching the end of what seems to be his prime time, which is great. But
I saw Freddie Gibbs was probably going to retire.
Freddie Gibbs is just like, he's just been around a long time. But I think he's just going to keep going until he's
I heard his most recent album might be his last.
Oh, really?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Listen, I get my news from Google News, which probably is not like the most up-to-date hip-hop news. Just like going to put that out there.
My news is written by AI.
It's written by like a bot that scrapes Twitter or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's just, I had a thing. Someone told me when I was in college, when we were in college, one of my coworkers told me basically that as you get older, you're going to hit a point at which you stop listening to new music. And you're just going to like what you like and listen to what you listen to. And I never wanted to do that. So I tried to be not that. I tried to not be old in my taste or whatever. But still looking at this stuff, it's like, okay, well, Future's damn near 40. I think me listening to Future so much is kind of like someone older than me listening to like just Jay-Z. It's like, oh, you're old, you know?
Yeah.
And so that, and then 3... Kanye West, you know, I don't know if you've been following.
I have a little bit. I have listened. I've seen a little bit.
God damn, I'm just trying to talk about the music.
Yeah.
I don't think he's focused on music is the way I will summarize that.
That might be the most neutral way of tracing what's going on.
So, yeah, that, and then Kid Cudi was my number 4. Fine, whatever. Lil Uzi Vert was number 5. And so I've been thinking I need to get into other types of music. I need to like expand my boundaries because I like new hip hop too. There's newer rappers. It's just that the ones that are popular I'm connecting with less because I'm not 18, you know?
Yeah.
And it's a really weird feeling. So I'm looking at my Spotify Wrapped and I'm acknowledging that I'm old. Like in my taste, I am old. So I gotta fix it, but that's like I need to fix myself from the root, you know?
I don't know. I don't know at what point I will get to that where it's like I don't want to listen to newer music. I just jump around too much.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think you should want to. I mean, I understand liking the classics or whatever, but whenever someone's like, you know, maybe 10 years ago, someone being like, oh, Kanye West, for example, because he was my favorite 10 years ago and whatever. It's like, oh, Kanye West sucks because he doesn't have a beat that sounds like this. Or he doesn't have wordplay like Jay-Z. He doesn't have social whatever. He doesn't have whatever you want him to have because you're used to a certain era of music. And then it's just like, you immediately make yourself an old motherfucker. Being like, oh, and it's like, oh, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you just immediately you don't get it, and everybody who gets it like marks you as someone who doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And I so badly don't want to be that guy. It's kind of like, you know, the Tween Wave episode of South Park.
Wait, what?
There's basically the thing is Stan turns 10 and he's like getting old, so his taste changes. And so the like music that his friends listen to, it sounds like shit. Like there's literal fart sounds in the music to him from his perspective or whatever. And his dad is just trying to cling on to being cool. And so he's willingly listening to what literally sounds like shit to him, where he's like, it's like he thinks that the kids like the fart music. You know what I mean? Like it's like, but he's trying to hold on to it. But that's not who he is. So at times I feel like that's me.
That makes sense.
I don't know. I feel old. Anyway, your number 4 song was called "Say Nothing." I forget the artist.
By Flume and Maya. I'm not sure how to pronounce that.
Yeah, that one was I had hope for it because I know Flume. I've listened to a Flume song before. I think it had Pusha T on it. It was like
Flume is like quite a popular EDM artist. I think out of Australia, maybe.
It was like chaotic as fuck, and I liked that a lot. So with this one, I saw the name and I heard the little build up, and I was like, okay, this is about to start.
No,
and then 5 minutes went by. I was like, God, when did it start?
Yeah,
you know?
I listened to the like less EDM Flume music is what it turns out. I listened to Flume for a while now.
Yeah.
Some of his older stuff is a little more trance than I think EDM. So that's kind of like where I come at for Flume. But yeah, I mean, the song is again, like, I wouldn't have put this above Santi, to be honest. Like, it's just another EDM song to me. It's fine. It works.
My only note is very spacious.
Yeah.
Which to me could be a cool thing. But to me, it seems like all the music you listen to, I can always see something else being the center point of attention.
Yes.
It always sounds like this is supporting an activity or like supporting a visual or something like that. It's never like the Sante or Santi or whatever song stuck out to me because the vocals, like I said, were the centerpiece. Like the song wants you to pay attention to it.
Yes.
You know, whereas this one was just like, you know, you could smoke a cigarette, do some grocery shopping in your head while this plays. You won't really be losing anything, you know?
Yeah, I think that's true. I just generally like I think my musical taste is kind of mirrored my like how I've tried to move towards I try to become more calm as a person, and I feel like my music taste is like ahead of me in that. Like a lot of it is like kind of like spacious, like not super hype. Like it is just background music in a lot of ways. My brother calls my music taste elevator music, which would have been funnier if Spotify was like, your musical taste is elevator music. And so they were like, in the evenings you listen to melancholic and affectionate songs. Like, I don't know what that means, but thank you.
Yeah. Well, like, you listen to music, and when you do that, you're typically like you're working or you're outside or you're doing something.
Actually, I don't. When I work out or like run and stuff, I don't listen to music.
Or like
I only listen to music really when I'm working or when I'm playing games that doesn't have like a banger soundtrack.
when you walk your dog, you don't play music.
No.
Weird.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to pay attention
Yeah.
for cars,
Or
especially, and
javelinas.
also javelina, coyote, rattlesnake, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, I guess like your music is around an activity, whereas like for me, my activity for the most part has been just driving, and driving is so like that I'm only looking for something to pay attention to. Whereas like if I'm working, you know,
Yeah.
it's like I need to feel grand while I write this if statement, you know.
That makes sense. You know what? That makes sense. Would you ever consider getting a stick shift, like a manual transmission car?
It's like mindful driving.
Yeah.
No, just because I'm not that into cars.
That makes sense.
I think if I had a manual car or a stick shift or whatever, manual transmission, anybody else who learned that would be like, oh, damn, is that a V6 or whatever the fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like if I wear a Arizona Diamondbacks hat because I live in Arizona and I just have this like cultural attachment to our team. And someone's like, oh, they did shit last weekend. It's just like, bro, what? Like, don't talk to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, my number 4 song. What was my number 4 song? My number 4 song was Silent Hill by Kendrick Lamar and Kodak Black. That's the push these fellows off me like, whoo.
Oh, that song is also very funny. The little like, whoo.
Yeah, that's the best.
Like, again, I have to be like, is this song supposed to be funny or is it supposed to be kind of hard? Because it's like, that noise is not one where I would have expected anyone to have it in there where it's not like supposed to be a goofy, silly song.
Yeah.
But like it seems like it's in there seriously, and they don't really acknowledge how ridiculous the song is because of it.
It's like the other Kendrick Lamar song that you like with Baby Keem. The like top of the moaning, or like what's the other one where he has the new flows coming. Be patient, brother. I'm saying, brother.
Oh yeah, that one. I do like that one though.
Yeah, but that brother is goofy as fuck.
It is goofy, but he's getting somewhere with it. This song, a little is just him being like, I push people off of me. It's like,
But see,
maybe.
that's the like hook that gets your attention. Because I remember playing this album front to back when it came out. It's like, okay, this song is cool. This song is cool. I want like an attention grabber again. Like I always wanted an attention grabber. And when you get the like, it just it immediately makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And so, that was one of the new flows that was coming. Apparently, it was a "hoo." But the best part of that song is the Kodak Black verse, because he's like they don't fuck with me even if they could.
Yeah, that one. Okay, that one was cool though. When he started to use the rhyme off of the, well, I was like, this is pretty dope actually. Like, this was pretty skilled.
That verse is so crazy, and Synovia refuses to listen to that song because she doesn't like Kodak Black for a lot of reasons. Again, I'm talking just about music here. There's plenty of reasons to not like Kodak Black. I'm not arguing against that or whatever, but she refuses to listen to that song. But I just think the Kodak Black verse is just so fucking good. I'll play it. I don't care. Whatever.
I don't know. I know nothing about Kodak Black aside from that verse. So
yeah,
I also didn't know that was Kodak Black. So
yeah.
But yeah, it was a pretty good song, honestly. It was a song. That's not a song I would put on my playlist, is what I would say. But if I heard it, I would laugh still.
Yeah.
My number 3 was
Monster Lead Me Home.
Wants to Be Home by Sarah Hartman. That's right.
My notes, my first one is I like those little breaths.
And the opening?
Yeah, towards the end too they have them, but it's kind of like layered vocals where it's just like like different breathing sounds in a very like soft way.
Yeah.
I said my other note was that it feels like it could be over a montage. Again, it's like cinematic. It feels like it's supporting a story or like a visual, or like the song. It was almost like, oh man, like Gran Torino, towards the end when he's like packing up all of his shit because he's gonna go basically sacrifice himself.
Yeah.
And it's like this very tense scene where you don't really know what he's doing. You just know he's committed to this purpose. Mm-hmm. This song would play over that if instead of Clint Eastwood, it was like a 12-year-old girl, and she's like about to go and, approach the bully about the peanut butter sandwich that they stole or something like that. But it's like low stakes, high drama.
Yeah, that might be the best description of a musical taste. I like it because it has a lot of like imagery attached to it. Like it kind of just describes what it wants you to think about when it's happening. Yeah. Like
you can see it while the song is on.
Yeah, like the line where it's like you can see your breath in the air. Like that's like a pretty tight visual. Like it's cold enough that you can see your breath in the air. Like everybody who's lived in a place that gets that cold knows what that's like. Even
like the color that it evokes, like this bluish grayish type of thing.
Yeah. Like I like that song a lot for that piece too. I really like a lot of her songs are like that though. So, but this is like the one that I'm not surprised that this is in my top 5, but. Yeah, I like that about this song in particular. It's almost like meditative to listen to it and just like think about like that image in your head.
Yeah, it was cool. It's again, it's like not. We will keep saying this. It is not something I would put on my playlist, but I understand why you like it.
That's fair.
My number 3 song was "Rock and Roll" by Pusha T, Kid Cudi, and Kanye West. This one I was not expecting to be in my top 5.
Yeah.
We went to see Pusha T, and he did this song live, which I thought was cool. I didn't realize, like with the way that people like talk about music, it's hard to know what songs other people like from an album unless you're on a very specific like forum or you have a specific group of friends. So I didn't know people liked this song, but when he performed it, I was like, oh, this is important enough for him to perform it or whatever. It's a cool song. I don't love it. I'm surprised it's number 3. I love Kid Cudi so much. That vocal effect on the hook that he has on his hook is like super weird, and I didn't like it at first. I still don't like it, but I love Kid Cudi. I want to hear him forever.
Is Kid Cudi the one who like changes the way, like the beat that he raps on very slightly? Like he does a double word on the beat, or is that Pusha T?
I'm not sure about that particular thing. Kid Cudi's verse is the one that has like a staticky filter over it. It's like a old effect. Or he's like rapping from another dimension.
I don't remember. I remember one of them. There was like a pattern of people like where they would rap on. Yeah. And then somebody like did a double word on one beat. In their verse, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Like I like that one because it just like it stood out to me more. But that was like maybe the song didn't really stand out to me. There wasn't anything like funny about it, and there wasn't anything like super hard about it. I was like, this is a good. It's like a well produced song probably, but like.
I don't even. Yeah, it's not my favorite song. Not even on that album. But I think there was maybe a week or two after the album came out where I wanted to go and listen to it, and the only song that stuck out to me, or kind of always the one that I hit first, was this one. So it just ended up being the number 3. But it's fine. It's not my favorite. Your number 2 song,
Carrière by Cirque du Soleil. It is the more recent version. There's actually 2 versions of this song off of Alegria. Is that how you pronounce it?
Alegria. I would. I don't know. I don't.
Spanish.
I don't speak Cirque du Soleil.
You speak Spanish.
I don't speak Spanish. I promise.
You know a little bit more Spanish than me.
I would assume that word means happiness, and I would assume the song is called "To Want."
Yeah. It's like to want or desire.
Yeah. It's another following the theme. My one note, or my first note was, I can see this going with the visual of someone like dancing crazy or someone contorting their body all wild, because it's the vocals like demand like something to describe, like, you know what I mean, like the vocals are there for something. The vocals aren't there for themselves. So yeah, it was like an interesting thing. I've never seen a Cirque du Soleil performance. I've never none of that, but in my head I could see it going with a Cirque du Soleil performance.
Nice. Yeah, it is. I don't know. I've never seen this show from Cirque du Soleil. I've seen other ones, and their music tends to go with like certain like parts to it. I think this is more deep into the show. So you were spot on, I think, when you said it was maybe in the 3rd act. It might actually be in the 3rd act, but I don't know. Yeah, I like this song. I'm kind of surprised it's so high up, but it's interesting. Also, this is the song when we were talking once, and you were like, yeah, Spanish in Spain is different. And I was like, oh, because they say like the sound, like so corazón instead of corazón. And I was like, I know that because of this song. Because I was like, what the heck are they saying? Because like I kind of I was like, some of these words though, like I've heard just out and about in Tucson. So like they have to be speaking Spanish, but like I've never heard corazón before.
Yeah, for sure. It's like it makes you doubt your own ability to speak Spanish or whatever, because it's like, well, if there's that little quirk in how you say that word, I don't trust anything, you know.
I don't know any Spanish, so
yeah. Well,
I mean, whatever Spanish I know is just picked up from living here. Yeah. Your number 2 was Poppin'.
My number 2 is Puffin' on Zooties by Future.
Puffin' on Zooties. That song was great. Honestly, I'm going to put that on my playlist like after this one. I love that song.
What about that song made you like it?
The name is, instantly from the name, like I was just like, I'm going to like this song, and I certainly did. I like the rest of the song was fine. It wasn't like super high energy. It wasn't like in your face. It was a little more like calm, and I'm kind of into that. So I was like, the one thing I like about rap, or especially like this kind of rap, where like the beat is like predictable almost.
Yeah.
It fits very nicely into like my own framework for like liking music. Like I like that, but also like my favorite band, the person who made the beat is a hip hop producer, and it's like I'm kind of used to like that kind of like the repetitive. Like kind of like repetitive, and also like the impact of the drum in the beat is like very important in rap, I feel like, and it's like I like that, and I like the song because of that.
It's interesting that like. Yeah, the repetition of the patterns and stuff is one of the things. I think when I was a kid and I realized in a Nelly song, it was either like EI or Country Grammar or whatever. But the first hip hop I listened to as a kid was Nelly. And I realized that if you only know the hook, right? I only know the 8-bar hook, and I don't know any of the verses. But the pattern for the beat follows the same in the verses. It's just 2 of the hooks. So if you do the hook ends and the verse starts, but in your head you still do the hook. You finish it once, you finish it twice. On the 3rd one, it'll line up back with the original hook, and you'll just be able to do it. And it's like, oh shit, this is like math. Like without knowing the math, you're like, this is just like a pattern.
Yeah.
And so then it's like, okay, well then it's like predictable and whatever. But then the thing with this song from Future is like, yeah, it's repetitive, but if you go and you count how many times he changes his delivery, it's like several times over on the same beat, and like where he'll change his pitch and he'll change his like whatever fucking math, right? It's all math. It's like the coolest shit. But like the technical rapping of dudes like this, it's not about lyricism. It's not about like I said one line that could be interpreted 4 ways. It's like I said this blunt upfront thing, but I delivered it in like the fucking coolest way, you know. So yeah, like Future's great. Future's one of my favorites. So I'm glad you liked that song.
Yeah, that song was a banger. I liked it a lot. My number 1 song, kind of by surprise, was Saudade from Maro. If anyone watches Eurovision, this was the Portuguese entry for Eurovision, I think last year or the year before that. The song is like probably where my Spotify was like, you like melancholic songs comes from. The song is melancholy. Saudade, I think, means like longing or like to want also. So, yeah.
It's a whole different language, so I didn't even get the connection of like, you know, I'll listen to a slow song in English and at least be like, okay, well, you said heart or distance or love or whatever. So I know generally what you're talking about. I don't know Portuguese at all. So it's all just based off of the emotion. And the emotion was definitely like sad.
Yeah.
But if it's just like, ooh, I'm sad for like 3 minutes. It's like, I don't fucking care, dude.
While we were listening to songs, we were kind of chatting, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, this song came out like when lockdowns were still a thing, and Maro was in LA, I think, and her family's in Portugal, and so I think the song might have been about like her wanting to see her family. I think it's like kind of interesting. I think a lot of the Eurovision songs from the last like 2 years, a lot of them were like, damn, it does kind of suck to not be able to see other people, huh? And yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know why this was song my number 1. I do still think Santi should have been my number 1, but the song, I do like this song. So.
See, for my number 1, I remember when I was playing this shit on repeat. I was like, okay, I need to play this again and again and again because it's my favorite. Whereas you, I have a hard time being like, oh fuck yeah, run that back, yeah, dude.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think like I don't remember ever being like, I need to listen to this song on repeat. I think I was like, I have to listen to this song. That was a good song. And then it's like, let the rest of the random happen. And then like maybe randomly again be like, I want to listen to that song again though. So I think that's what happened, where I didn't like listen to it on repeat, but instead I like repeatedly came back to that song over the course of like months, basically.
That makes sense. Like you kept coming back to it.
Yeah. I think it fits the bill for a lot of the things I'm looking for in a song. It's like not in your face. Like you literally could listen to the song and write code for like 5 hours with this song playing in the background. Don't even like at a certain point, like you
don't even know it.
Realize that it's still on. You're just somewhat sad while you're writing code. You're just like emotionally like brought down a couple levels.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Like mine, the downside of the way I listen to stuff is like I'll burn shit out. Like my mom did this as a kid, and I do this now, even though it makes me mad that she used to do it. But she'll play a song and play it again, and we joke about it because she'll make a playlist with just one song on it.
Oh my god!
And play the playlist on repeat for like hours.
Oh my gosh!
So like. The song that was the worst ever was Dilemma by Nelly. It's like that song is burned into my fucking head, and to this day I won't play it. I love that song, but I won't play it. And so like my number 1 was by Bad Bunny. The song is called Calladita. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it right. In the song he says it all like it's like he like removes a syllable, but I'm pretty sure the full word is Calladita.
Oh, okay.
Which I believe means like the quiet girl or the quiet one. Because like Cállate, it's like a command to shut up. Like that base verb is the same, but it's like a noun. Spanish is like it's like a whole thing to it, but I'm pretty sure.
I don't know anything about Spanish. I believe you 100%.
Great. Yeah, so as the authority, the Home Games Spanish resident expert.
Zenobia somewhere screaming.
No, dude, I know more Spanish than her.
Wow.
She's mad about it, but yeah. No, so yeah, this song, I really don't know much like with the words he's saying, you know. She's quiet, but she has fun at nighttime. She likes marijuana and drinks.
This sounds like he's just describing a regular person.
I think so, but the song is so fucking catchy.
Yeah, it is.
And I guess the song came out like a year or two ago, but it was on an album that came out this year, so it kind of got a big resurgence. And it's funny because when you saw the album artwork, you asked me, "Is that the heart that people put on clothes?"
Yeah.
And brother, I don't know what it is, but this year, like that little heart, that album cover of the album, I think the album is called A Summer Without You, but it's in Spanish, and that little cartoon heart with the eyes is all over the swap meet. It was all over the fair. It's like incredibly popular with, like, Tucson has a huge Hispanic community here, so I think it's just like that kind of music. People are supporting it or whatever, and it's like so fucking popular.
Yeah.
And even at markets, because Sonoya opened a business this year, and we did local markets, like farmers markets and stuff, selling stuff. And there's a huge Hispanic presence at these markets as well. And so a lot of them, they were playing music. And every single one of them that played music played this song. Every single one of them, at least once. Or if not that one, then some Bad Bunny song. But he's like Drake popular, I guess. It's just very culturally segmented or whatever. But goddamn, that song is amazing.
It is. That's also on my playlist. I heard that song, like, I think within the first, like, maybe 30 seconds. I was like, all right, I gotta write that one down. I'm gonna go into on that one.
It's about it's like the same thing I was saying with Future. It's about changing it up and keeping it fresh. Again, like the stuff I like, it like demands your attention. If I do a verse and I'm talking like this one way, then the next verse I need to talk a different way to make that one fresh. And like when it comes in, you remember that first line because it sounds so different. Like. Fucking, it's so fun. Like, and it even says I played that song 8 times in a row or whatever on May 29th. So like, yeah, Tucson summertime after a market, like playing Bad Bunny on repeat. Like, fuck it, of course, dude. It's like the best.
Yeah, that song was a banger. Also, I like that song a lot. I understand why it was your number one. It's like it feels like it has good repeatability.
I'll just tell you what, brother.
Listen, 8 times in a day. That's repeated. That's a lot. That's like, what is that? Almost an hour of listening to that one song on repeat.
Maybe, dude. It's like nothing. Seriously, you should ask my mom how many times she played Dilemma. We probably burned out that fucking CD, dude, in the car.
Jeez,
unbelievable. We
really are different. When I really like a song, I specifically don't listen to it that much. Like, my number one song will probably never be on. Repeat. Like, Spotify will never know that my number one song is my number one song, if that makes sense. Like,
the ones that told you it was your number one don't know.
Yeah, because I don't want to burn it. I don't want to, like, lose the, like, magic of that song.
Yeah.
Like, it's important to me that when I listen to that song, I, like, feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. When I feel like when a song is good enough, I'll feel it every time. And then when I don't feel anything, I've gotten my feelings worth out of it. You're nothing to me, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, though. Because it's like, sometimes you just want to, like, be able to, like, sometimes you just want to be able to, like, turn on the feelings. You know what I mean? And like, yeah, that's why I hold on to that one song. Because it turns on the feelings. And I can wait and be like, feelings.
Yeah.
And then it's over. It's like, okay, we can close the feelings. The feelings have been experienced.
I think I've put some back in the vault, like songs that I burned out at one point, but I'm kind of letting them age in the cellar a little bit.
Oh,
to kind of like there's basically half of that first Kid Cudi album, Man on the Moon, the first one, like, or some songs on Man on the Moon too, where I remember being in high school and like having my headphones in bed and literally just crying just because it wasn't even specific to the song, but it was just like the feeling in the music and I wanted to cry to it.
Yeah.
Whereas like now, if I play it again, it feels fake because I'm not sad like that. But some days when I'm sad like that, brother, I want to play Ghost by Kid Cudi, you know?
I know what you mean. I don't know what you mean about the feeling sad part. My number one is Intro by the XX. It doesn't make me feel sad. It makes me feel like contemplative.
You mean when you want to feel something?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I mean, we've all got our different like goals for music. I don't want to think from music. I want to focus my thinking with music. Like, I'm already thinking, and putting on Future makes me focus it. It's like I have energy, I want to direct it.
But you don't want to direct it.
Not to the music, but like if I have energy.
Yeah.
if I have the ability to like or whatever, you know, yeah, and like okay, like for the stand, like I'll put up my standing desk. Like standing lets me kind of like get the energy like more effective.
Yeah,
and then putting on future, it like refines the energy into something I can like put into action. Like I was just telling Synovia yesterday or the day before, there's a song by Young Jeezy called Hypnotize.
Mm-hmm.
And he just says the first 45 seconds, he's just repeating, "Hey, hey," like just like repeating it.
Okay.
And then the hook is he just says, "You are hypnotized," and repeats it, and then repeats, "Now I command you fellas to get money." And it's just like, bro, if that song is on and I'm not actively getting money, it's a waste of the song. So like the songs direct me, you know what I mean?
Okay, I think I understand. It's funny. I actually think I like that. I think when I'm actively like searching out a song, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But when I'm just letting the music happen to me, like Spotify just randoms into it, I don't want like variance. I want my music taste to be like
Consistent.
flat. Oh, is that why so many of my songs sound exactly the same?
I would guess, yeah.
Oh my god.
Like I want the same thing in different packages.
I just want the same thing. Just give me the same song over and over again, but make me not realize that it's the same song. You know what I mean?
See, okay. I mean this in like the best way possible. To me, it seems like that is a good use for AI generated music.
Yeah.
Like in my head, the artistic part of music can never be taken away or like reproduced by a robot. But if it's really just like this vibe, I want this vibe, make infinite music with this vibe, you can probably get that.
That'd be nice. I could do that. But like, I don't know. It's not that I like finding smaller artists. It's just that they happen to make the music I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Like, I think people who get like commercially popular aren't the people who are making like elevator music. You know what I mean? Like, not to diss the artists I listen to, but
I guess
aside from Santi, you can't tell me that if Santi showed up on an elevator, you would be like, this is like kind of weird. That's like kind of like a banger. But like if all the other songs show up on an elevator, you would be like, nah, it's that's the elevator music. It makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like if I had to think about the elevator music, it's failed.
Yeah.
Like it should be unnoticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though if you get into an elevator, it's just really sad music.
Yeah.
Why is this elevator going?
Yeah. But yeah, I guess that's it for the music stuff. And we talked about home games, and it's December. And we've got one more episode after this for the rest of the year. And we will talk about how the year went, which I need to collect my thoughts on how the year went because I really don't think about it. I don't remember what year it is sometimes. I don't remember what day of the week it is sometimes. And it feels like everything I do is unsustainable. So,
no.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. You have anything else?
Music that was done by our friend Tynan. It's 19 on Bandcamp.
Oh yeah, but I was just if you had anything before I did the outro.
No, I don't have anything else. Did we do that last time?
Oh,
The outro?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if I did it when I did my solo episode. But as always, our music is done by our friend Tynan. He is Nitan on Bandcamp. That is Nitan, Nytan. You can find us on Twitter at homegames.io. We have a website, homegames.io. You can contact us using the form at the bottom of the page. Send us a message, question, comment, concern, anything you want. Thank you for listening. We will see you in 2 weeks.